This term toxic masculinity.
What does it mean?
Okay, well they're going to tell you, right? How does first off, what is it? And how does it express itself in your culture? Bro, Majid, do you know what it is?
I mean, I hear it on YouTube and stuff, but I never thought about it in my culture.
All right, hang on. Nick's going to help us out, man. Toxic masculinity.
I don't really want to define it. It's kind of like how sexism plays out for men. Kind of like they feel like they're above you because they're a man, kind of. So they kind of tell you what to do, or they just feel entitled.
Where do you see it?
A lot of men, usually.
Do you see? Go ahead.
I saw it in myself when I was younger.
Yeah.
In high school, because I was deeply in the closet and miserable. So.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would kind of just suppress it and not show any emotion and just be an asshole to people, kind of.
Yeah, as a way to stay in the closet.
Yeah.
So listen, so you as a gay man, do you see toxic masculinity more? This is a cool question. So do you see it more in gay men's culture or straight men's culture? How is it different, I should say?
Honestly, both. There's a huge toxic issue in the gay community for sure, especially with masculine gay people.
What's it look like in the gay community?
I don't really know. There's people respect masculine gay men more than they respect feminine gay men.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So even after I came out, even now I kind of try to be more masculine because people accept you more.
Uh-huh, got you. Okay, so that's the toxicity part,
yeah.
Right? Okay, so you get that, right? It's toxic in the sense of come on, what's it matter? We're in this world of you have gender and sex roles and the this kind of sort of the fluidity back and forth, and what does it matter? How about toxic masculinity in India, bro?
I think it's quite prevalent because the reason I say that is mainly because, like I said, going back, Indian men are considered to be obviously put on a pedestal than Indian women. So the entire concept of mansplaining really comes out over there. If you guys don't know what mansplaining is, it's basically a man tries to explain the same exact thing that a woman says. So just to prove that men know it all, just to sort of make that point. So yeah, I think that's still there in a way or the other.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I've seen it in my school as well as growing up. We had an English class, and she was a female teacher, right? It was a female English teacher, and there was another English teacher who was male. And I think one day he just walked into the class and he just kind of overheard her say something, and then he just kind of popped his head in the class and he was like, "Oh, just to add," he just had to say that, but it was the same thing.
Yeah.
And just to prove the point that I'm here too, right? I'm present here too. So I saw that, I witnessed that as a kid, and I was like, what? Why?
Okay.
Why was that necessary? So
all right. Yeah. Okay. So somebody else, man. Where do you see, Mike? How about you, man? Where do you see the most toxic masculinity in your culture?
I can't really answer that.
You can't because you don't see it?
Nah. Wait, can you explain what it means again?
Dude, here it is. I'll ask it in a different way. What's the most effed up thing you see men do in relation to women? Would that be fair? That's kind of a way to say it? Yeah? All right, man. What's the most effed up thing you see men do in relation to women? And whatever you say is going to get us into the world of toxic masculinity.
I'll probably say can you come back to me? I gotta think on it.
Who else wants to go, man? Yo, Majid, do you come on, you're Saudi, dude. you're an Arab dude. What's the most effed up thing men do?
That I've heard of, or like
No. They do. That's just part of your culture. That's like,
my culture.
yeah, dude. For example, like women just got permission to drive in your culture just a few years ago. That's kind of toxic masculinity in a way. Like, we can't trust women to drive. There's one. Am I right, bro? What's up with that? Kuwait. Dude, yeah, Kuwait's been driving forever. Yeah, okay, there's one. So, like, how about just that? Like, what's interesting here is that, there's so many probably pieces of toxic, Mike, by the way, listen to this right here. There's so many pieces of toxic masculinity. It's just it's so everywhere, right? It's just like sometimes as a man, you don't see it. If I were to bring 6 women up here and say, like, dude, walk us down toxic masculinity, and the first thing they'd say is, how much time do we have? Because we're going to need till like midnight maybe to talk about this. So it's it's fine, but what do you see? And again, if you don't see stuff,
Like,
that tells us a lot.
I didn't see stuff, but I know that this thing is probably happened in many like countries or something like that, but it's not good ever in any circumstance where like a husband beats his wife.
Okay.
Like badly beats his wife.
Yep.
Not like a little like slap or something.
Yeah.
Like beating.
Like I did to you when
No, that's nothing.
you did.
I'm a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And
Yeah.
then what happens to men who beat their wives in Saudi? Are they like immediately? How often are they do you see them in the front page of the newspapers? Are they?
No, we actually don't see those kind of things, but I think that's something, if you talk about men as a whole, that's like the most like worst thing to do in my mind that comes up to my
Okay,
mind.
and so many men think that it's okay to beat their wives.
No,
Men do. Some men do.
not that I know of.
Not that you know of, but it happens evidently, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
But it's disgraceful that you hit your woman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It makes you less of a man.
Okay. All right. Yep.
I think in India that's a fair point to make, because I know a bunch of my friends, they were like depressed when they were like 13, and they would tell me that, oh man, like again they're fighting, and it's just going on and on.
Their parents are fighting.
Yeah, and it gets physical, right? So, and generally, at least one of my close friends, he told me that it's always the man beating the wife. So, and it's I don't know what to do. Like, I mean, I'm just gonna go with it, like I guess. So, domestic violence is a very, very big issue in India. I feel it's very hidden under the doors. It's like under the carpet and everything. But I know for a fact that it's present.
No, it's very present, and it's especially in more rural areas, where it's just
exactly
common.
Rural areas are a very different ballgame. I grew up in a big city, and it's still there. And I know if you go to rural India, it's a completely different sort of place in terms of culture, in terms of how people sort of conduct themselves on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And in the ways in which something like this toxicity of masculinity.
Exactly, it really comes out in rural India.
Well, you guys do see this though, right, bro? I mean, I'll say that, like when you live your life with people from the age of 4 or whatever it is, 2, 3, it doesn't matter, telling you not to cry, to hold your emotions in, to be tough, to be strong.
Absolutely.
To be all those things, that stuff's going to come out, right? Again, it's going to come out. It's somewhere. And it's not just going to come out on your birthday when, once a year when you drink one too many tequilas. It's going to come out somehow. And then there's that kind of sense of like masculine and masculine privilege, right? That they go, well, this is what I do, and this is how it is. Bro, were you going to respond to this? The most.
I'm not sure if I get the meaning of that word right, but if you're talking about the fucked up things,
like the most
this,
effed up thing.
This kind of stereotype of man and woman. One thing I think that's really fucked up
Dude, how do you
Sorry.
say that? How do you say
Oh.
that in Chinese, in Mandarin?
You mean F up?
Yeah, how do you say that?
There's several words I can choose from.
Just choose one. I just want to hear it.
操蛋.
Did he get it?
It's basically direct translation of fucked up, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of back, so the worst thing I ever heard of in past years is, like in developed cities, like in the East Coast, there are like really independent men and women, like who's changing the tradition. But in like some rural, undeveloped area where the education still couldn't reach, there's a super fucked up tradition that you can buy a wife.
Uh-huh.
So if you have like, I don't know, $10,000, you can less than $10,000. Maybe I'm not sure about the number, but basically you can say like, oh, my son has grown up and he needs a wife, but he's really not like someone's interest. So I can find someone and say like, I need a girl to be the wife of my son,
Yeah.
and I will pay you. And this man will go up on the street and looking at the girls passing by, and then, oh, this one's pretty, and maybe I'll grab a bag and put that over her hand and drag her to my car and bring her to like that village where my son is living and force her to be the wife of that stranger.
Dude, okay, hang on. This isn't common though, right?
What?
This is not common.
It's not common.
Okay, but
It's-
it happens.
It's, yeah, as
and
I
it's
said,
illegal.
Yeah, of course it's illegal.
All right.
And it was quite a shock in the whole China
Oh,
for
yeah,
quite
yeah,
a
yeah,
while.
okay. All right.
And
Okay.
there's tons of police searching everywhere.
All
But
right, okay.
the problem is, as I said, this is a tradition in like rural, undeveloped
Yeah,
area
yeah.
that.
It goes back many, many years.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
another
yeah,
another thing is that the places where this thing happens is hard to reach. So even
Yeah.
the places, no matter like, they work hard to chase down the suspects, but in that area where you don't have all these basic infrastructures, it's hard to like break up this thing. But yeah, it was quite a shock.
And
to-
like an old tradition. Yeah. Yes. Somebody else. What's the most effed up thing? Bro, do you got this? Do you got the question now? What's the most effed up thing that men do?
I mean, I was like raised around like my uncles and my aunts, so like I never really see anything like effed up. But I probably say like the most effed up thing that I heard was like, so my grandmom has 6 kids on my dad's side, but my grandfather has 8. So they had their first 3 children, and then my grandfather made 2 more from a different woman, and then made 3 more from my grandma. So like it was kind of weird because like they're still married, and like I asked my grandmom like just a serious question like, what made you stay with him? She's like a forgiving person, so like that's why like she stood by his side.
So this male thing, it's this kind of toxic thing. I mean, we're going to use that word, right? This way that men can just go around with lots of different people in that way.
I mean, that's not normal, but like that's
It's actually not it's not that abnormal around the world. Yeah. Bro, do you have something?
I think the most effed up thing would be like sexually assaulting children, probably. Like one of my best friends got sexually assaulted when she was like 7.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's probably the most effed up thing
Uh-huh.
that happens in America, at least.
Dude, it happens here and happens. Can we talk about India for a second? Like, can you like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know, Delhi is the rape capital of the world. So it's
What makes it, hang on. Hold on. So we're just going to talk. Just be aware. We're just going to talk about sexual assault for a second. So I just want to go here. Okay. What makes it that?
I honestly wish I had an answer for you, because I think it's because some men are just so crazy that they think that they own women. So the moment that sort of builds up in their mind, it's kind of like they start seeing that, oh, that, I want that, I don't care. And then they're going to do whatever it takes to sort of get there.
So I see these stories coming out, like out of India, so much about men and assault, right? And like gangs of men and stuff. Like what is that?
Yeah. So in 2011, actually, this was very heavily publicized in Indian media. There was a massive case of gang rape. It was brutal. They actually made a show on Netflix as well. It's called Delhi Crime.
Yeah, don't go into details.
But no, I'm not going into details. But essentially, I think what caused that was just the fact that I think education, going back to a couple classes, I guess, most of these crimes are committed by people who aren't that educated. But I'm not saying that people who are educated don't commit these crimes too. That definitely happens, but it's people can pay their way through that. So it doesn't really come up in media and everything, right? It's just the ones, the underprivileged or like, the lower class, the lower societies where this kind of generally takes place. In rural India, I was kind of reading this article one day where it's kind of just accepted. It's just a thing. Like, if I'm a man, I'll walk in and I'll just be like, all right, time to go. So yeah, it's just kind of accepted, and the females kind of just are like, all right, this is my life now.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there to tell them that you can say no.
Yeah. So that's I would say that's pretty toxic, bro. So Nick, this is like what you're responding to, which is significant here in this culture, like up multiple levels, Yeah, it's really it's very unsettling, man.
It's sad. I remember because when I was in 6th grade, my parents really kind of shadowed me from that. They kind of hid the newspapers and everything, because this was on the front page of the Times of India. Yeah. So it was, and then I found out, I think a couple of years later, I was like, oh, this is what happened. And then
Well, the reason I'm allowing this to be out, like, it's not uncommon. Right, that happened to be a story that really made the international media. Right, but there's so many that it's just really.
It's probably happening right now as we speak.
No, it's happening. It's constant. Bro, did you come up with anything like the most effed up thing men do?
So, one of the things that I came across online. It's about two brothers that who's.
Yeah, wait, hang on. Though before you say it, I don't want to focus on just an individual case. We're looking at something that's more at the level
usually.
It's more usual, or it's more accepted, or it's like not
accepted,
really, not treated as something that's really like a lot of times. Look, one of the things about when we talk about these issues, one of the things is that. There are things that are like right in front of us, and we don't see it. So there are many things that say, as men here, for example, when I talk about, hey, let's talk about I want to go back to this, toxic masculinity. Like, there's so many pieces of this that you can't see as a man, because that's the nature of it. And so, like, if you saw it, it would be a very different story. But I have this kind of vision, it's like fish and water. Like, the fish doesn't understand it's in water. Like, men aren't necessarily going to understand the level of toxicity. So Nick, a little bit more as a man who's also gay, you might have a different kind of window into it, right? But mostly you don't see it so clearly. So whatever we have to say, I think what's really interesting is that if I ask women, like, are there any Arab women who could answer this question if I give you the microphone? What's like the most effed up thing? Like, What's toxic masculinity? Where do you see it in your culture, in a way? Anybody want to just throw an example out? Doesn't have to be super toxic, but just something that's like, yo, what up, man? That Arab men don't recognize. Anyone want to throw it out? Dude, hang on. Can I have a microphone? Yeah. Just as an example, right? And look, there's toxicity in every culture. It doesn't really matter, but I just think this would be a really good example.
In Kuwait recently, we've had many like a woman does something to disgrace her family, and then she gets killed by someone in the family, like a man of the family, and they've gotten away with it more than once.
So the idea of honor killings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not every day, but it happens far more often than.
Now, yeah, it's happening a lot.
Yeah, we're seeing that, bro. Majid, do you want to say anything about honor killings?
Hear that quite well. So what did you actually say?
The idea is honor killings, right? So a woman or a girl or a daughter or a sister does something that some men in her family think dishonors them.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then she's killed.
Okay, so the issue with this case is that those men like mix up religion and their own culture.
Yeah.
So they came up with a decision that's not correct in our country. So wait, did you say that she's had sex with someone else, that she's not married, or?
Dude, it could be that she just is out with her boyfriend. Or she goes home and decides, hey, I'm going to marry this guy. You decide, not you, because your family is totally different, but a woman decides that, hey, I'm getting married to this guy who her family disagrees with. And the family is like, no, you can't marry him. And then, but she does. She runs off with him, and they track her down, and they kill her. And the issue that makes it toxic, right, is that, first off, this isn't happening at every moment. So anybody who's not connected to the culture understand. But it happens far too often. And it's not happening in the U.S. I mean, it's not happening in Western cultures, right? But the idea is that men decide what it is in them, that they decide what's dishonorable. And then they go out. And then the punishment can be very, very light, right? I mean,
Yeah, for example, a woman got, she wasn't killed. I think she was just assaulted by her brother or husband.
Yeah.
But she was beaten very badly in public, and he didn't get a fair sentence.
Yeah.
That was fair to the woman, just because he was on drugs. So they excused it for him.
Yeah. No, and I know cases where people they didn't even go to prison. I mean, it's just yeah. So bro, that would be an example of toxic masculinity at a level of that's kind of a holy shit level, right? Yeah. Okay. That's a great example. Anybody else want? Bro, do you have a question? Yeah, all right, go ahead, man. Awesome, man.
It's on?
Yeah.
Is it a toxic masculinity if let's just say, for example, my ex-girlfriend was bad at ordering food.
Yeah.
And so she would order food and then be I can't do it anymore, and just tell me to do it. And she was okay with that. And I always drove and she always the passenger. Is that bad? I don't know.
No, that sounds like she's just bad at ordering food.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that way.
No, dude, that's good. I like that. That's a really good. Hey, are there any women from China who would have an answer to this question? Something that's really toxic that men do in China? Wait, you have one? Yeah? All right. Then listen, and here's the thing. Toxic masculinity is one of these things that people use and people misuse. What's toxic, man? Really? But But sometimes you just know it when you see it. Yeah.
I would say like something is like just really up and like actually happen like very, very common. Like it's like very common is that a lot of women are getting selective abortion, so they abort girls.
Yeah.
And especially like since we used to have one child policy.
Yeah.
But right now is the limitation it has been lifted. You can have 2 or 3 children, but when they're having like their second or third children, like the abortion rate goes up and like the percentage of boys goes up because like more than often if the first child is a girl, they want to have second or third child, and they want to guarantee that they will have a boy in the end. And in China, like there are a lot of, especially in underdeveloped areas, there are a lot of family with like 6, 7, 8 children, like just to have like a boy in the end. And I've experienced like myself, like I'm a second children, like my parents are like educated and stuff, but I went to like a relative's wedding, and it was like my grandparents like half sister and her son's having wedding, and I learned that son's like not her biological son. They adopted a boy because they only have a daughter. And on top of that, like they asked me, because I was there with my mom, like my parents, and also like my cousin, and like it's like my grandparents, like they have 2 children, like one boy, one girl, and that's like my mom and my uncle, and they all brought their families there. So I'm an only child, I'm an only daughter, and my cousin, he's an only boy, and there is like an aunt there, and like they just straight up asked my mom, like, oh, you only have a daughter, is that okay? Like it's like not allowed culturally in that region to only have a daughter.
Just like it's shameful somehow.
Yeah, and just like I was there.
Right in front.
Right in my face.
Right.
Like,
okay.
And she has like 6 or 7 children, and like her daughters are all like abroad, like in Argentina, like doing business, and she's like, oh, I can't have my son leave me because now he's my son, and all my daughters are like married and abroad, and they're like sending money home, and she's very happy with that.
And somehow like that's okay. Yeah. That's, by the way, there is the male female sex ratio in China. There's like about 26, 28, I think is, if I remember correctly, million young men in China of who are of marriageable age that will never, ever, ever get married because so many young girls were aborted or are killed after they were born because parents wanted boys. And so now you got all these boys that will never get married. So, yes, man. Toxic.
My question about toxic masculinity, like, well, actually, that just changed because what you just said about in China, isn't it like a statistic that even though they have male sons and like they supposed to carry on the family and all that, isn't it more likely that the daughters are actually the ones that come back and like take care of the parents in old age than the sons?
Now here in this culture it is, but that's not true in every culture. Yeah. In this culture that is. Yeah, it's usually going to be the daughters in the West. Yeah. But in fact it will be more likely to be the boys. That's kind of the thing. Yeah. Except in her case it will be her.